Tina, we are finally together. We have tried so many times to get together, and I'm so excited because it has been a long time that I wanted to have you on my podcast. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here finally. Good to see you.
It's gonna be fun,
I think
mostly
so.
because I'm excited about what you're doing, and I think other people are gonna be excited about what you're doing. So if you could, let's start with the first question. Tell us a little
Okay.
bit about what you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Tina Provost. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of Five Star Fans. We enable universities to tap into the 98% of their fan base by turning everyday fans into active donors. And very briefly, how we do that is we curate live digital content for the fans to watch play by play or live streaming, and they can send support to athletes while they're playing on the field in real time.
All right, so please really define what that means. Send support to the athlete. What does that
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, that support is code word for money. So, and I'm going to use a recent, and because we live in Columbus, Ohio, I was a former Ohio State cheerleader. We're going to use obviously the national championship game that Ohio State won as an example. So, as you were watching the game, Ohio State versus Notre Dame last Monday, um, on our platform, you can stream the play by play live. And as Jeremiah Smith runs for that awesome touchdown, in that moment, you can send him $10, $50. Will Howard making a huge play, the offensive line making major blocks for Will Howard. In those moments, at that exact time that they make that play, you can send them money directly to the athlete or the position group that you want to support. And so, of course, we started with college football over the fall, but now that we're releasing excuse me, now that we're partnering with the institutions, we're releasing that opportunity to all programs under the athletic department's umbrella.
I love that so much. I think it's it's just kind of fun. It's a good play. Here's $10, my man.
Yeah.
What made you go with that idea?
Mm. We started in a little bit different of an area in college sports. We've always been in it when we launched our tech about a year and a half ago, but we quickly realized after conversations with over 100 athletic directors, NIL directors, coaches, athletes that roster retention and creating different revenue streams that are going to be above the salary cap that's proposed was really critical. And we knew we had a really cool opportunity with what our tech team could build. And then as we thought about, where else does something like this exist? TikTok,
Mm,
Twitch, Patreon, their value propositions are all very similar. They offer live digital content and direct fan to creator support. And we said, well, we can do that. That doesn't exist in college sports. So what we do is provide live digital content and direct fan to athlete support. And we're the only ones that do this in college sports right now. And we're very lucky to be able to do it because Jennifer and I, my co-founder, we both come from a non-revenue generating sport, and we
mhm.
understand that if financially and economically athletic departments can't get sustainability around the core revenue generating sports, a lot of those others are at risk of being cut. And so we knew if we can
Yes.
provide something that can contribute to a solution, we're all in. And so that's where we made that major change in the fall of 2024, leaned into it. People love it. We've had major traction, and a lot of interest from universities now too. So that's where we're focused.
I initially thought this was a super brilliant idea, but now that you told me that how it helps non-funded sports, it's a
Mhm.
freaking brilliant idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because yes to all of that. And one of the things, well, I do love that the times are changing a little bit with players being compensated, for
Mhm.
example,
Yeah.
because for example, anybody that watches college football, um, many of these children, and they are children, are not going to
Yeah.
go. I mean, they're like 21 years old in some cases or
Mhm.
younger. There's kids out there that just got out of high school and they're playing as freshmen in a college sport. But many of these children are not going to get to the pros.
Mhm.
This is their biggest moment, and they're all in. Bodies are on the line. They're going to be damaged when they're done. They're
Mhm.
getting beat
Yeah.
up, and they need to make a little money. And I love that if it comes a few dollars at a time from a fan or versus, them getting it from jerseys or something. I think that's
Mhm.
only fair. I mean, they are
Yeah.
playing their hearts out there. And for some of them, this is their moment.
That's
And,
right.
who knows what their future holds. But so to have a little something now in these glory
Mhm.
days, I think is freaking brilliant. Plus how
Yeah.
much it sustains other sports too, which is so great. So great.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah, we like it. It's pretty crazy. It changes every day with legislation that's proposed.
Of
Each
course.
state is, each state right now kind of has some of their own guidelines. Each
Yes. Yes.
university operates a little differently, but if we get to jump in early and have even a little bit of contribution to help, I mean, that's why we exist.
I love it. And you said you're now expanding to other states. Is that still with
Oh yeah.
football, or are you into other sports too?
Yeah, yeah, we did start with Ohio, some of the universities here just because of the proximity, and that's it's here, it's what we know. We have great relationships with Ohio State. But actually during football season, we streamed 8 to 12 games per week, and they were across the entire country.
Oh,
Now,
so
so
cool.
what we're expanding out of is just football. We started some tests with basketball, and then as we sync up with the institution, our development team and our technology can take any sports statistics and live game operations and pump that into our playcast feature. So, all sports are going to be available. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, especially because some of those other, finger quote minor sports aren't getting as much attention, but they
Yeah.
could if more people are watching and again contributing and getting more involved in that regard.
But
So
not as many people are watching, but that's because they don't have a chance to yet. If we give them a chance to watch something or have some
yeah.
kind of content around golf, lacrosse, a lot of the Olympic sports too. I mean, what people don't
Oh,
realize is the United States relies heavily on the college athletic landscape to
yes,
feed our
yes.
Olympic team. And so if it was available, people would consume it. Someone just has to find a way to do it. And you see that with women's basketball.
Hmm.
Once some investment got into that sport and we were
Yep.
broadcasting, we were making the games more exciting and showcasing things for the fans. Look what's happened over the past couple years. And so that's our plan to do for Olympic and non-revenue generating as well, is to bring that same kind of energy.
Yeah, and I'm a believer that people really like to tune in and watch excellence. So, which is why this Olympics is always so popular, is
Yeah,
because like you're
yeah.
seeing the best of the best of the best. So, for
Hmm.
example, if you somehow have, emerges, like what your platform might do is have a star emerge, then suddenly people are gonna be like, oh, wait a second,
Yeah,
that
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
check
tune
that
in for
out.
that
Yeah,
because it
right.
sounds like they're really, really awesome. So, I mean, that's kind of what
Yeah.
happened with the WNBA. They
Hmm.
started getting some players that were more recognizable. Same thing with soccer.
Yep.
And now everybody's like, I might tune in to watch the game, and it's getting a little more infectious, which is really, really kind of cool.
Yeah. And that shows young kids, man, I want to be like Caitlin Clark. And
Yes.
now, more, whether it's girls or guys, whatever, there's more interest in the sport early on. And when you look at professional sports, I'm going to get on a tangent here, but whatever,
Well,
that's
that's
what we're here
fine.
for. Yeah. Okay. When you look at professional sports, NFL, for instance, too, they're struggling with their average age of fan is increasing, and obviously they don't want that. And so, if you can appeal to younger generations and make it exciting, or people can start to see
Yes.
themselves in those roles, you're going to see a flood of interest coming into youth sports and then into, high school and then getting into
Yes.
college. Um, it benefits the entire ecosystem over time. It's just someone's got to put the effort in to do it.
Exactly. And especially if people can kind of see this as even a small means of getting some income too.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that
Hmm.
every player is going to be able to retire on, what comes through your system, but to
Yeah.
know that they're being compensated in some way is just even mentally such a great thing. It's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I watched, I thought I did a great job. It's
Thanks.
little baby steps, which is really kind of cool.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, so if somebody wanted to kind of get involved with this, what do they go to your website and then
Hmm.
like pull up the games and then
Yeah,
off to the races, right?
that's right. Yeah. Right now they're on it. There's some basketball games that are being streamed. But even if you're not watching a game, like right now, I don't think there are any basketball games going on. But I can still go to a university's page on our platform and look for an athlete's profile and say, you know what? I saw Catherine at the coffee shop. She was so nice. She represents this
Oh
university
my
so
goodness.
well. I really respect her. I can still send you support just for being loyal and being a great advocate of the university. So the support can flow even outside of live game instances. And that's the beauty of it too, because part of being an athlete at an institution is being a leader and an advocate and somebody that's the face. And so it's okay to be rewarded for that too, of like, you know, when people look at back at their university, the loyalty, the longer you're out of your institution in the United States, the more loyal and more connected you feel, and the more
Hmm.
psychologically validated you become as you see real star players, leaders come. So it's just like I'm a psych nerd, so I get really like deep into this stuff, but
Uh-huh.
want to be able to say, you know what, I loved seeing Catherine. She's so nice. She made me feel even more connected to the university. I'm going to support her even deeper now. And so people can do that. To answer your question, fivestarfans.com. You can find nearly any athlete in the NCAA right now and support them. And then
And I
you'll start to see, as universities, as we sync up with our university partners, you'll start to see more digital content around all of their sports and their programs.
and I will include your link in the notes to the
Thanks.
podcast. People
Okay.
can have it, very quickly, and didn't need to scribble that down while you said it.
Okay.
Um, what I also like about this too, which is why I also like college athletes to be, kind of supported financially in a bit too, is because sometimes they'll go to a college, they're away from home,
Mm-hmm.
and they might have free tuition because they're playing on the team or what have you, but that's kind of it. And there's still many, many starving college kids out there. If all of us remember who have gone to college, there are days where you sometimes just eat ramen 5 days in a row. And that happens with the athletes too. They get a lot of stuff, but they also need things too. And this can
Yeah.
help them in that regard too, which it's almost like
Yes.
getting a scholarship in a way, just kind of a little bit at a time from the
Yeah. And
public, which is kind of
supplements.
cool.
You're nailing it. While the image of a college athlete is, oh, you're on a full ride and you get all these free shoes and clothes, and yes, but I
But
still have bills to pay and I still have food to
yes,
eat and I still have to live. And
right,
what people don't realize is not every college athlete is on a scholarship that's really livable. It might
right,
cover some of
right.
tuition, but not all the time. We've had experience, track and field student that we met with a couple of years ago before we launched our product was like trying to figure out how to pay her cell phone bill. And you're like, what? You're a
Yeah,
star track and field athlete at a major
exactly.
university, and
Yes.
it's just mind-boggling. And so, yeah, sure, the QB1 of a Division 1 college program is going to make a lot more
Mhm.
than a gymnast, but even if a gymnast walks away out of his or her career with another $5,000, that's more than zero, and that could be
Absolutely.
life-changing for certain people.
Absolutely. I
So
remember back then,
it's
that was a lot of money back then for
yeah,
me.
yeah. I don't think it much, it's like maybe not as much now, but yeah, I mean, I remember in our college days, $5,000 is a big deal. It
It
it means
is.
a lot. And it
It
could
is.
mean a lot today too if a
Yes.
lot of the smart schools are already offering education and financial education around how to use some of the NIL money, and if you invest that right, or just sometimes you just need to pay your bills. How about
That's what
that?
I'm
That's
thinking.
okay
If
too.
it's just enough to pay some bills, that's great. You
Yeah.
might have scholarships for school, or you might have that covered with your
Mhm.
parents, but there's still a lot of expenses that still kind of sneak up on you when you're in college.
That's right.
And just
Or
to
you know
basically
what
say, "Oh,
else?
look, I got some money." It's great.
Maybe I just want to take me and my three girlfriends out for a really nice dinner and treat ourselves. That's okay
Just
too. They've
once.
earned
Yeah.
it. They've already
Exactly.
earned it. What drives me bananas is there's a lot of people that have opinions around it all, and I like to hear a lot of the different opinions because it all contributes to what this could look like in the future. But
Absolutely.
there's some people that'll say, "Oh, well, now that you're getting paid, you need to perform better." They already were performing great. They just weren't compensated before. Like that to me drives me bonkers
No,
when people
because
are
they
like,
get the
you
money
better
when they
step up.
perform. They got to perform first.
I already put, and I was a cheerleader, so I mean, we
Ugh,
had our own schedule, but like athletes at the university have already stepped up. They've already made it to such an elite level.
yeah.
You're acting like they have been slacking because they haven't been paid for all these years. No, no, no. The payment system has been slacking in compensating these athletes. So that I don't like reading
Yeah.
those. And
Yeah. Well, it's like, thank you for
I'd
your
love to have a
input.
discussion with someone with that opinion, actually.
Well, and it's like, thank you for that input. And then maybe I'll put something in my marketing or on my website that really directs that in a different way. Here's how it works. They
Mhm.
perform, and if you like, you can pay them. It's not you
You
pay
don't have
them
to if you don't
and
want to.
they
Yeah.
have to perform.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, what did you decide to do something like this? Because it's not a simple
Mhm.
task to have this whole system set up. So,
It's
how did you
not.
kind of stumble into this?
Well, NIL became a thing in college athletics in July of 2021. And
Mhm.
we're just like, cool. As former athletes and a bunch of our friends, it sounds great. Really happy for these students that now get to benefit off of their name, image, and likeness. They can do marketing deals, whatever. About a year later, a lot more grumblings. I mean, things change every month, and now it's nearly every week. And then we started, a couple friends and I got together. We started to talk a little more deeply about it. Like, is there something we could do? How can we support? We've sat on boards and fundraised, but we chatted for a little while, and then finally we were like, we need, if we have a gift or if we have the ability to do something and jump back into sports, and by the way, we love college sports because we lived it, and if we get a chance to go back and work for it too,
Cheerleader, for heaven's sake.
yeah. We're like, you know what? Let's do it. So then we got a little more serious around the plan. Okay, we knew there were a lot of folks that have already built these marketplaces where athletes and brands can match up and find ways to collaborate and do deals. We knew we didn't do that, weren't going to do that because a lot already do it really, really well. So where else could we contribute? Where else is there a gap? And so that's where, when we found out that there was a place where like the everyday fan who's not a donor or booster doesn't have a lot of ways to contribute that's meaningful, we said, bingo. Especially as former cheerleaders, we're like, well, we know fans, we know them the best. That was our whole job. Let's build something to make that group of people feel connected and feel like they're making a difference. And so that's kind of how we landed on the solution that we started with. And it's still, although how we're doing it has changed a little bit, the base fundamental still sings true in that we want the everyday college fan who is not a donor or booster to still feel like you make a difference, you matter, you are the soul of this whole thing. I mean, when we were cheering on the sidelines, we could feel people's like breath on, you could just feel it, and it would seep out of people how much they love their team and the games. And so that stays fundamentally true for our business, is that we're serving that group of people.
That's so incredible. That is just so incredible. And you have received awards based on how other people think this is such a smart and incredible idea too. So congratulations about that. And it's
Thanks.
only going to get bigger and bigger because I can just see this compounding over and over the more involvement you get, which is, like I said, it's so impressive, so impressive. And we do know that you were a cheerleader when you were younger, but let's go back even a little further for when you were just a little tiny small Tina. When you were a child, what was something that you just really, really loved doing before you had responsibility and had to figure out software and all that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, that whole thing. Yeah. I knew we'd talk about this, and as I thought about like what did I do, like, not just one thing. Of course I love playing with Barbies and not something like that tactically, but like what did I always do? I'm the oldest on both sides of my families of the grandchildren, and I started to remember I always, and even in my neighborhood or at school, I always corralled people. I'd always be like, let's get together, the classic, let's make up a dance at the when at Christmas, we'll go upstairs, make up a dance and make all the grown-ups watch us.
I love it.
Like, I'd be like, we're all going to play school, or we're going to play this thing. And I remember I'd always corral people to do something, bring a bunch of people together. And then as I think about what I do now today, and even in my career before starting the company, I have always done a pretty good job of bringing people together and making people feel like they belong. And then as I got to know what strengths finders were and identify, people's top 5, I've started to realize I think I do a nice job of identifying what people are good at versus what they're not, and then just doubling down on that and bringing them all together and having a lot of fun.
I love Strengths Finder. So if people are a little lost as far as what they think their strength is, it's kind of true. You go through it, because if you just read the strengths, you're like, oh, I'm that and I'm that and I'm that. But then you take the test, you're like, oh no, wait, I'm really, really this and this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so impressive. So I love that you did that, so that you can kind of direct us a little bit. Plus, then that I'm going to work only in this area. I'm not going to try and get good at something I'm not good at, and I'm going to work on.
I gave that up. And in my early career after college when I was younger, I thought I had to be this thing to be successful. I was in sales. And so I would see all the successful salespeople around me, which were mostly men. And I'm like, I have to be like that. And I am not good at that. I was just not good at being them. And I failed miserably. Thank God. Finally, I just started being myself, and that fared me okay. But yeah, I started, especially after taking Strengths Finders, I gave up trying to fix too much what I'm not great at, because it drains the heck out of me.
Yes.
And my partner Jennifer, bless her, like we are such a good partnership because she has a lot of strengths that I don't, but we get that about each other. She knows, ooh, I better not give this administrative task to Tina because she will faint. And
that is the exact relationship I had with my business partner too. I mean,
it's awesome.
More boundaries, and it was like it had to be something like going to an event or speaking up at a stage. she was like, okay, you're gonna do that, right? And I'm like,
Yeah, that's yeah. And it's
and
like,
then
you're gonna go do that happy hour, right? You don't want to go. I
Pete's,
got you. I
no,
got
that's
you.
that's all you, babe.
Yeah. Okay, I take that. Or I'll be like, okay, Jen, just prepare yourself. This group is gonna have 100 people. She's like, okay, I'm gonna leave within 30 minutes. I'm like, I got you. And it's just like so beautiful to like
Yep.
be able to know that about each other. It's
Yeah,
cool.
and that speaks again very much to the strengths too, because
Hmm.
once you own those things, you are so freaking good at it. So
Yeah, and
I
you could do it all day, every day if you just stick to what you're great at and that you love. And our CTO actually, he fits in really nicely too. He can nearly read both of our minds and has stuff ready before we even ask for it. It's like how, because
that's perfect.
if you're an entrepreneur, you are too, Catherine. We're a little crazy. You got to be
Oh
a little
yeah,
crazy to do this. It is insanity nearly every day.
yeah.
99% of the time, it stinks.
It's 100% being a visionary,
Yeah.
and a company has to have it. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
But yeah, you definitely need some guardrails for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Or for someone to say, whoa, 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 you gave me 5 ideas. Which one do you really want to
Well,
do?
yeah, that's what Jen does to me. She's like, hang on. You said, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
All
let
right.
me slow down.
Let's go with that. Original
Yeah.
idea. Original idea.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so you are obviously super busy now. What are some of the things that you do to just kind of unplug, recalibrate,
Mm,
relax, so you can go back in and just attack all that work again?
yeah. I just was at an event last week on campus. They have a women in business group, which is they had a
Yes.
huge turnout. I was so proud to see that because it didn't exist when I was in the university. Anyways, we talked about this. I have two non-negotiables no matter what that come before the business. And it's I'm a room mom for my son. He's 8. He's in 3rd grade. That I love mom stuff. In the morning I'll pack his lunch and it's like I love doing that. Non-negotiables are anything activity for my son, whether it's his lacrosse or golf, and then being his room mom, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And that is unplugging to me because truly love it.
Oh, it's nothing like
Number
what you do daily.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like, I'll talk to other women sometimes that are in business, and sometimes you'll see out in media women get offended, or like they'll say, "Oh, don't ask women how they juggle family and work." Why not? We like to. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to be feminine in business. We're girls. We want to talk about that stuff. We like it. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to talk. You
No,
should.
it's all life. I don't like that when they start putting the
Yeah.
word balance in there. It's like, no, it's not a balance
It's
issue.
not offensive. You should have. I want to talk about that kind of stuff because I like it. I'm a
Yeah,
girl, you
exactly.
know? So that's a non-negotiable one. Non-negotiable two is I work out 4 days a week, period. Mostly in the morning, but there's the studio I go to, and it's one of those places I don't bring my phone in. I don't talk to and I feel bad because I don't talk to anybody there
I
usually.
like that. I'm like that
That is
too.
my place. I'm not there for friends. I'm there to be quiet, have someone tell me what to do. Physically, I get a great workout. Mentally, I get a great workout. Those are the two non-negotiables. And then when I have time, I like to read a lot. Um, they're mostly dorky books, but that to me is exciting.
I love the
So,
dorky books, and I highly
yeah.
recommend that people who they say, "Oh, I read a lot." Then you ask them what they're reading, and it's like about 10 books, half started, all about business or self-improvement. And I'm
Mm,
like, you know what? How about you just do some fiction? Because get
yeah.
lost sometime, or do a business
Yeah. Take a
fiction book
trip.
and a business book. But just
Hmm.
like constantly, there's something wrong with you or your business, and you got to fix it. That's
It's
very
exhausting.
exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just hop into some story and that's completely
Yeah.
crazy. And just binge it.
Yeah. It's like a mini vacation where you can mentally go
It really,
somewhere
really,
else.
really
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
actually, it's funny that you brought that up because that's how I kind of got back into it. Because I was realizing that the only time I was reading fiction was on vacation,
Mm,
or sometimes on plane rides, because then it would make the the flight go a lot faster.
hmm.
Um, But then I'm like, why do I just reserve it? I don't have a trip for like 6 months. Does that mean I'm not going
Yeah.
to eat for 6 months? I mean, so then I started weaving it into more of my day to day. So yes, it's like a mini vacation,
Hmm.
and just, yeah, really, really enjoy it. And what I love too is when you have a book too that's so good that when it's over, you almost miss the
Oh,
characters.
sad, sad. Oh, you know what? That makes me remember. Last year, I was reading a book. I would stop on purpose because I did not want it to end. I would be like, okay,
Get
put it
that.
down because I want to read more tomorrow and I don't want it to end.
I get
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about. It's
Mm-hmm.
so, so, so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tina, this has been such a great conversation, and I'm
Oh,
so
thanks. I
excited
know.
that more people are going to know about you, and they'll have an opportunity to participate kind of in sports, and
Hmm.
especially with their alma mater or their favorite team or things like
Yeah.
that. And I only see more and more growth coming from this. So um, I'm excited for you. I'm super
Thank
excited for
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much for
much.
being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to talk to you finally. And I was so glad to run into you too in person. When was that? Gosh, before the holiday,
Yeah,
when
oh
we were like,
yeah.
wait a second, we were,
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
That's
I
right.
think I met your daughter, right? I think ran into your daughter, and then she's like, this is my mom. And I'm like, wait a second.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the ripe age of 16 right now. So,
Mm,
I mean, as you know,
very
with that being
special
said,
time. That's another
it's
podcast, 16
oh,
years.
but she's an amazing, amazing kid. I got super lucky.
Oh,
And
good.
just like you, though, I had to be there for her. That was just something that I kind of
Mm-hmm.
decided, much like I felt like I had to be there for my business team, I had to be
Yeah.
there for my home team too,
That's right.
And yeah, I think we have that has really helped us with our relationship, even in these
Good.
choppy teen years. I can't say she's best buddies with her dad. They tend to pick her a little bit, but as I always tell him, she's got to practice on somebody.
Yeah.
So let it be
And it's
you.
better you than me. Yeah.
Exactly. Or somebody out in the world that
Oh,
wants to
right. Yeah.
her, and she's like, if she can stand her own ground. So
Well, you want them to be comfortable and do those things at home versus somewhere
yes,
else where
yes,
they feel safe with you. Yeah, I totally get it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we could go on another tangent, I'm
I
sure, but
know, right? Yeah.
thank you again so much for
You're,
being on
it's
here.
your
I really, really
company.
appreciate it.
See ya.